Okay, so um, starting off then, qualities of a spiritual teacher. So this is Lama Yeshe. I never met him. I've heard lots about him. He actually died quite a few decades ago now. Um, but he's someone who started the FPMT up, and Lama Zopa Rinpoche was his disciple. And they came to the West and started all the centres going in the West. So this is one of the things that he said around gurus. A qualified guru is someone who's gained mastery over his or her own mind. So master is quite a big word, isn't it? You know, if you think about that, to have actually mastered it. They understand the psyche of the disciples. So understand what's happening for the disciples, what's going on for them, and of the psychological means and methods to guide the disciple on the blissful path to liberation and enlightenment. So there's an awful lot in there about what they have to have achieved for themselves, their understanding of the disciple or the student, and also having the methods and the means in able to do that. And we're going to look at quite a lot of detail around that tonight. What I thought would be nice to do, though, to start off with, is start to think about what some of these terms mean, because we see them come up quite often. And there's different levels of spiritual teachers. So I'm just going to go into a bit of detail around those to start off with, and then we'll look at the qualities in a bit more detail after that. So, these first three levels of a spiritual teacher, then, um, they're not necessarily that you need to have a long-term commitment to them as a student, but it doesn't mean to say that they're not valuable. All right, everything's got its value and can be very helpful for us. So that first level then, a professor of Buddhism, you might get someone teaching religious studies at university, for example, and that's got a lot of knowledge about Buddhism and its history, its past, that kind of things. And they're likely to share the knowledge with you as a student. But they wouldn't be as likely to be teaching from their own experience as what some of the other teachers would have. So Dharma instructors, teachers, facilitators. Now, Dharma teacher has a very specific meaning for FPMT, and you need to be qualified as a teacher in order to be called an FPM teacher. So it basically includes going through the basic program and doing all of that. So you've got to have done all of the basic program in order to be able to become an FPM teacher. And there's two of them at Jamyang Leeds. So Kerry's one and David Mitchell is the other one. All right, so I'd fall into the role of a facilitator for this. So I'm going to Kerry and to David and getting their wisdom on this as I'm going through, all right, and checking things out with them. And a lot of what I'm coming from is from David's notes or other teachers as well. So, like I've looked for this one, what Van Amy said when she's done this actual discovering Buddhism module. Same with Van Constance, etc. You know, so they're teachers. I'm a facilitator. I'm just kind of starting out along the path. But basically, a Dharma instructor or teacher, facilitator, they're going to share their knowledge with you about what they know of the scriptures, what they know from their own study, from their own practice. You know, so they're wanting to let you know from their own experience what's been true for them, what have they found to be helpful and not helpful, and so on. But they're not necessarily someone who's going to have had realizations. So realizations of emptiness, for example. Yeah. Then you get meditation trainers or teachers, I'd say, or ritual teachers, that kind of thing. So the more experienced practitioners typically could be lay, they could be ordained, and they're just sharing their experience with you. So I'm sure that quite a few of you might have been to meditation teachers, you know, attended the meditations that we do on lunchtime, for example. And it is someone who's there and sort of sharing their knowledge of how to go about that. I've attended trainings on rituals, for example, the water bowl offerings, that kind of thing, from Geshe Samton, who is very, very experienced on that. And that was really, really helpful. And it's something that I practice now constantly. And it was a while ago, actually, but it's something that I've managed to more or less keep up most of the time, which is good for me, because I have trouble keeping up with things on a daily basis sometimes. All right. So people sharing their own experience, and then someone who's able to help you progress on that path to a certain level. All right, so take you from the very basics of it and help you to just develop as you're going along. So all of those three, then we don't really need any long-term commitment to them, and there's no long-term commitment on behalf of the teacher either to yourself. The next ones then. This one's spiritual mentors. All right. Now, there's various levels of this, and this is kind of where we're getting into. Well, so what is the spiritual teacher? What is the guru? So the first ones then, refuge or vow preceptors, someone who you're taking your refuge vows with, for example, or it could be, you take precepts for any of you that's had that experience. So for example, just recently we've had the 15 days of miracles, and then Barbara was giving precepts on the first and the last day, you know. I'm not sure if everybody knows what precepts are, but basically you're taking a vow that for that 24 hours, you're going to try your very, very hardest to keep the vows. So it's things like not killing, which sounds obvious, but you're making a vow that you're really going to try that for the day. You're not going to do it, you know. And there's not killing little insects just as much as there is, for another human being, etc. It includes things like not lying, that kind of thing in the precepts. So generally speaking, you try and keep silence for the day, so that you don't get tempted and say something that's an untruth, So that kind of thing is taking precepts, and you'd have a very experienced teacher that would go through those with you. Same with your refuge vows. It's a very important commitment. Once you decide you're going to do that, and taking that commitment that you're always going to go to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha as you go along. And, that whoever's you're taking that vow off from, of refuge from, it's very important on their part as well, and they want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. I remember I was ever so nervous when I took mine. It'd been a big decision that I was going to do it, and I did it on retreat with Geshe Tashi, and I was so nervous. I was like, I'd read up on everything before, and then what I thought I needed to know before I took the plunge for it, and when I got there was just me. I was very, very, very lucky. It was just me, just that it was doing on that day. And I was so nervous that I put down one of the prayer books on the floor next to the table, and it's like, oh, no, don't do that. We don't put it on the floor, And I know not to put it on the floor, but my goodness, I was so nervous. And afterwards, I kept having to go back and ask him things, and what did he say about this? And just explain the name again, because he gave me a name, which was lovely, but so that was Lobsang Peldon. Which kind of means great heart illuminating, which sounds lovely, but it's not saying you already have it. It's kind of going, that's your path, that's your path, that's where we can see you going. And yeah, I kept having to go back and just spell it out for me again. And what does it mean again? You know, it's just like everything was like all over the place for me. So anyway, that's my experience of taking the refuge. Mahayana Master then. So thinking about this one. So this is probably someone that we would see as our guru, depending. And what you're really looking for on there, sorry, I'll just get my notes a minute, just make sure I don't forget something. So you're going to be gaining teachings from them. So things around the greater vehicles. So in this case, because it's Mahayana, we're in it for the benefit of all sentient beings, you know, so we're receiving those kind of teachings from them. There might be granting bodhisattva vows, you know, so the first time that I experienced that was when His Eminence, Ling Rinpoche, came to the centre, and he was doing the big opening ceremony for us. Now, His Eminence Ling Rinpoche is a reincarnation of the Ling Rinpoche before him, who was His Holiness's teacher. All right, so very important day for us when we were there. So that's the first time I remember specifically in front of a teacher taking bodhisattva vows. Yeah. We'd want them to have qualities such as advanced concentration, you know, so can they hold a thought and what they're on, you know, talking about as they're going through things, and not rambling like I am and going all over the place. All right, kind of thing you'd want to see that you could see that concentration for them. You'd want them to have a stable realization of bodhicitta and of emptiness. So understanding that things aren't as they appear to us, you know. So we'd be looking for him to have got that understanding and stability around it. And you know, freedom from pride. So negative pride is where you're thinking that you're better than other people, basically. So there's a difference between pride and negative pride, you know. So you can be proud of your achievements, but if you fall into the starting to think that someone else is worse, then it becomes negative pride. So you'd want your Mahayana master to have those qualities, you know, and to be able to see that they're not displaying contrary to that. So Tantric Master then, so this is someone that you're going to take initiations from or empowerments from. My own experiences, I probably rushed into doing some of this before I really should have done, because I didn't know better. And I'm so glad that you guys are doing this study now, because as you're doing it, I'm doing more of it, if you know what I mean. And I'm gaining a better understanding as I'm going through it all this time in order to go through it with you guys. And I probably rushed into doing that after a few years when I shouldn't have done. Before I was quite ready for it, and that's quite tricky, really. But I do, I've seen, I see those masters where I've taken those initiations from. Every morning I'm thinking of them as my guru and thinking of them as I'm going through my practice, you know. So you've got to be really, really respectful as you're doing it. Don't enter into things until you're ready, I'd say. So once you do an initiation, then there's certain pledges or practices that you're saying that you're going to put into place. So to be really clear about what those are. And also it forms a connection. So there's more of a closer bond between you and the teacher. All right, so there's said to be a strong bond between you that's going to carry forward over lifetimes to come. All right, you know, once you get into that stage. And obviously with Tantra, you know, you're seeing them as Buddha. You're seeing them as Buddha, and it's an important part of the practice is that you're visualizing them as Buddha. and it becomes more important as you're going along with Tantra. So that's kind of thinking about Tantric Masters and how you're likely to encounter them. Root Guru, so we mentioned this previously, didn't we, a little bit last week, is someone who you feel a really strong connection to. So there could be any of the above, so any of those three, most likely to be a Mahayana master or a Tantric master. And it's the person, as I said to you before, where you're likely to go to for advice. Now, when I was listening to Amy talking on this, she said something really great, and I thought, yeah, that is, I can really see that's important, and that is, if you're going to go for advice to your guru, make sure that you're really, really clear about what it is that you want to ask. And also be really, really clear beforehand that you are prepared to follow what the advice is that they give you. All right, so before going and asking, get really clear that you're going to be happy to follow what advice that they give you. Because once you've gone to your guru and asked for advice, then you should follow that. And it can have karmic consequences for you that are negative if you don't. So think carefully about what it is that you want to ask them. Not everybody is going to be in the same location as a group guru. There'll be many thousands of people probably that see His Holiness as a root guru, and not everybody is going to be able to ask him questions or to actually get in front of him, maybe once in a lifetime even. So this is what I was saying to you the other day about, it's what's coming from your side is really important about how you're feeling about it. The root guru is someone who really is sort of moves you, shifts you on, the move your heart or your mind or get you thinking differently, as in sort of more modern speak would be, wouldn't it? So there's a significant shift for you with them. And obviously, as we've been saying already, it's with the Mahayana practice, you're not talking about just for this life. We're talking about that you're looking for that connection over all your lives to come right way through into enlightenment. So really big commitment. Okay. So there's the levels of the spiritual teacher. Now, last week, we talked about qualities, that there's qualities of a teacher, but also qualities of a student. And I think Colm said, didn't he, is like, but what about like our qualities? It's all right expecting, all these things of the teacher, but what about us? And that's quite right. We've got to be in the right place ourselves in order to be there and to go to the teacher. So here's some of the things that I've found helpful has been doing this, and I can think of times when I've not done this, and I bring myself back to it. So you're not going to be a perfect student all the time, So one of the things that's hitting me there, and just as I'm thinking about it, is an attentive mind. All right, so think about your motivation when you're going into any sort of studies with the Dharma. And it's great to have a motivation that you pay attention, all right, and you really listen out, because it's easy for your mind to go off onto other things sometimes, and that's what the mind does. So a bit like with us, sorry, I'm twiddling with something, a bit like with your meditation practice, notice if your mind's gone and bring it back without judgment again onto what the teachings are. All right. And that can be more tricky than you think, because we often play hell with ourselves when we're doing that, we notice the mind's gone, but just the noticing it's gone and having that motivation to bring it back again, that's helping to train your mind. All right, so really useful thing to have. being open-minded without prejudice. Okay, lots of things in here. So, for example, I don't know about you guys, but often when I've been to teachings, if I'm not careful, I think, oh yeah, I've heard that before. You know, because a lot of the teachings come up over and over again, don't they? Or different teachers say it in a slightly different way. Um, and if you're not careful when that's happening, you can end up shutting yourself down, you know, and thinking, oh yeah, I don't really need to hear that because I've heard it once already. But if you can go into it and really listen, there's probably things in there that are new. Or what I find sometimes is you're in a different place yourself to the last time that you heard it. Even if it's only fairly recently, things have happened since. All right, and you might just take something from it that's different from it before. Um, being without prejudice. So this is thinking about not putting your own group before a different group. All right, so not thinking that these practitioners are better than those practitioners. You know, for example, for ourselves, not thinking that the practitioners of the great vehicle are better than those of the small vehicle, or you know, we're better than Theravada, or all of those kind of things. Now, from a psychological point of view, from a Western psychological point of view, it's interesting because we do align ourselves with groups as just part of what we do. All right, it's a natural thing, we all do it. I remember one psychological experiment once, and it was looking at dividing two groups up, and they were really arbitrary what they did it on. It was like they said to one group that they were in that group because they'd got a preference for a certain type of painter, and with a different group they said to them that they had a preference for another painter. And then they had them playing these games where they were playing for basically for tokens, for money kind of thing, money tokens, that type of thing. And what they found was that people did prefer the in group, all right, the group that they were attached to, even though they'd never met them before. This was purely arbitrary what they'd separated them on. They gave preference to the in group in these different games because it's something that we naturally do. So you need to watch your mind that we're not doing that, and we're not thinking that we're better or we're different to other people. Yeah. Applying our intelligence, common sense. Okay, so this one's saying use a critical mind from this point of view, and don't do something that you know is not ethical, even though your guru has said to do it. Now, this is sort of looking a bit different to what we've said before, isn't it? But you haven't to let your own intelligence override something that you know you think is wrong morally. All right, so we're still using his own discernment in that, you know. So if tomorrow His Holiness was to say that you should go out and kill people, you'd think that's not, you know, something that we'd want to do, or that we'd be expecting His Holiness to do. Now, there's lots and lots of stories in the teachings of where, you know, the guru has given the disciple really tricky things to do. But sometimes there have been tests, you know, to see, do they use their own discernment as well? You know, do they use their own morals? So just keep that in mind about it's not dispensing with what you know to be right from an intelligence point of view, from an ethical point of view. having a sincere interest in the Dharma. For some reason, every time this one comes up, I always think of not meditating just because the Beatles used to meditate. And I don't know where I heard that sometime, but it's a phrase that kind of sticks into my mind, you know. So we're not doing it just because as friends are doing it, you know, it's like thinking about what your real motivations coming from. Where are you looking to get to with your practice, you know, what's important for you. And it could be different for everybody. You know, a Mahayana practice is one where you're looking to there for the benefit of all sentient beings, you know, and to free them all from suffering, and for everybody to have long-lasting happiness, which basically means for everybody to become enlightened and the lower realms all to be empty, you know. But not everybody will be on that path or want to achieve that path, you know. So it's starting to think about, well, where are you? You know, is that your motivation? Is this the path that you're wanting to follow? And getting yourself really clear about that. So appreciation, respect for Dharma and the qualified teachers. Talked about this before a bit last week as well, you know. So appreciation for all that they've practiced, all that they've learned. You know, I don't think I mentioned this last week, but a geshe, you know, if you've got someone there who's a geshe as a teacher, you know, they can have been studying for 17 years to get there. It's like going to an advanced university, if you know what I mean. By the end of that 17 years, they've put an awful lot of effort into to actually get there, and similarly a lot of effort into practice as well. So having respect for the teachers. And then this other one I thought was really nice as well, thinking of a good character and a kind heart. So it goes a long way, you know, thinking of your own morals, and, you know, an open heart, loving kindness, yeah, compassion. So there's some of the qualities of a student then. So when we come to do the discussion groups in shortly, I want you to have a think about these and think about what you might have already. All right, so what kind of qualities you might have already. So have a think about those. Other things then, qualities of a spiritual teacher. So these are the 10 that are cited most often. In several of the books you'll find them, but it kind of plainly lists them in, if you can see this one or not. It's in the worksheets. I've got details of it, but extended Lamrim practice. All right. So if you've got that booklet, it's all in there under Guru Devotion. So these are the ones that we're looking for in a spiritual teacher then, in order to take them as our guru. So a guru teaching Lamrim should know the entire path to enlightenment and possess the 10 qualifications of a Mahayana teacher then. So a mind subdued through higher trainings of morality. All right, so a mind subdued. So thinking about that then, we're looking at their ethics there. How are they actually living those ethics as best as what we can see? You know, what do we actually see them doing? You know, so if they are ordained, then they have a great number of ethics that they have to, you know, keep as part of the vows in there. You know, but on a day-to-day basis, or every time we're seeing them, what do we notice about what their ethics are? How does that show up for us? So that's thinking about that one really. A mind that's been pacified through higher training of concentration. So yeah, again, this is one of those 3 higher trainings. It's going to be difficult for us to know whether they've definitely got that or not. But what we can do is we can see how focused they are. You know, how do they keep their focus with us? What do we notice around that? And how is their mind pacified, or do we see the times when it's not pacified, when they are angry or they have outbursts, that kind of thing? A mind thoroughly pacified through higher trainings of wisdom. So this is looking at emptiness basically, and understanding that all things are um, inherently, sorry, the absence of inherent existence from the side of the phenomena or the person. So it's not just an intellectual understanding of that, but having some kind of an experience of that, which falls into number 6. Yet again, it's difficult for us because we don't know inside other people's minds, do we? You know, because we'll see what's within our karma to see, but noticing the best that we can do. How personally do they take things, for example, is what I'd be looking at with that, you know. Do you get, I know what I get caught up in is, you know, just day-to-day things that I can get caught up in, you know, and forget that things aren't as we think that they appear to be, is not necessarily as they are, you know. So um, not getting caught up in those day-to-day dramas, I'd say, would be one outward sign of that. Number 4 makes sense, doesn't it? More qualities, more knowledge than the student. So you definitely want them to be further along the path than what you are, so that they can guide you along that path. A wealth of scriptural knowledge and oral transmissions. So oral transmissions, not everything is written down. All right, so not all Dharma knowledge is written down. It passes down the lineage in oral form, and you know, some of the masters, for example, I've taken oral transmissions from Lama Zopa Rinpoche. All right, occasionally he'll do that. So he's done quite a few of those, you know, during the pandemic. And I actually found them really helpful because there were ones that were to do with the morning prayer practice that we have, and some of the deities that we're sort of thinking about during the morning prayer practice. So I got some oral transmissions of that, and I'm sure that that's helped me as I'm doing that practice every morning. It certainly kept my motivation going, you know. So like, you know, we're nearly a year on, and there's a group that really keeps that practice going. So they can be really helpful for the mind. Experience of an insight into the meaning of voidness. So this is talking about emptiness and having an actual experience of it. So it's not just an intellectual understanding, but actually having that experience from within. Enthusiastic perseverance in teaching the Dharma. Yeah, you want some enthusiasm into it, you know, to keep going with it, you know, even in times when it's difficult, or even in times when as students, you know, we just don't get it, or we don't practice right, or whatever it is, you know, we're in human form and we're fallible. All right, so that enthusiasm to keep going with it, even though the students are going to need a lot of encouragement. Um, Teaching according to the different levels of the disciples, yeah, because as I said, we're all different. So hopefully, you know, you're looking for a guru that understands that and is able to put it into the right words, the right meaning that's going to hit home for you. You know, so if we think about um, with Shakyamuni Buddha, you know, he taught in 3 scopes, so different times he taught to different audiences according to what their understanding would be. All right, and sometimes that almost looks like there's some differences there, but it's just a case of he was teaching to different people depending on what their needs are. Motivation to teach, so that loving kindness coming into there, compassion, really wanting to teach and to help people along the spiritual path, and patience, so much patience, not feeling discouraged, and keeping going with that. All right, so those 10 are what is ideal. You might not always find someone with all 10 qualities, that's the thing. So here's the ones where I said you should have at least these 5. So a mind subdued with the first 3 higher trainings, so ethics, concentration and wisdom are the higher trainings, plus having a great love and compassion and realization of emptiness. And if you still can't find someone who's got all of those, then the absolute minimum that you're looking for is that someone who's putting future lives before this one. So not really concerned with worldly concerns and putting others before the self, out of great compassion. All right. So could have a little think about that. We'll have a discussion on it next. So here's a couple of questions for you. Which qualities of a student do you think you already have? Now, this is going to be interesting because, like, often people will be like, oh no, I haven't got anything already. But I want you to just give that a little bit of thought. So, what do you already have, and what would you like to develop further, and why? So, just bring those up for a minute. So, those are the qualities of a student. Just have a quick look at those and have a think for yourself. So, what do you think you already have some of? Even if it's not the perfect article. And what would you like to develop further, and why? Yeah, all right. And then the other question, which of the 10 qualities of a spiritual teacher stand out as being important for you, and why? So I'll put those 10 up again. And so when you're discussing them, if you get a chance to talk about both questions, do. If you don't worry about it. Whatever your discussion you have, it'll be a good one, I'm sure. Just go with the flow and what's there rather than fretting about it. All right. So I'm going to put you into breakout groups, and so we have 3 groups. That's going to be right, isn't it? So let me get this right. Yeah, I'll break it out into 3 groups and then we'll see where we go from there. And we'll go at it for about 10 minutes. All right. It'll be a minute. Yeah, so 1 group of 3, 2 of 2. All right, so 10 minutes then.
That's the wrong button, Chrissy, sorry.
Yeah, it just says you've not joined. It's assigned you with Stuart.
Oh yeah, I pressed the not now by mistake.
All right, okay. I don't
Sorry.
know. Do you know how to do it?
No, I don't want to do it. I pressed it by mistake. It's my fault.
All right.
Sorry.
I'm just trying to work out how to get you in there now. Andrew's come back. Andrew, did you have a problem in your room?
Maggie just crashed, so I was in there on my own.
Just crashed, all right, okay. Okay, and I've lost someone as well. Oh, this isn't working right well today, is it? I don't know how to get you onto a room now together. Let me just move you to room 3. Hi, Stuart. If you just come out of a room, I'll pop you into.
Yeah, I was in a room on my own,
I'll put you into room.
so I need to.
Right, we've had some problems with rooms. All right, so I'm putting
Okay,
you into John.
all right then.
You should have got a message now. Sitting up, that's it. So that might be in the abdomen. Feeling the breath as goes in and out of the body. Belly swelling on an in-breath, and on the out-breath comes back towards the spine. There's no need to force it at all, it's just watching it. It'll do this all on its own. Some people it's helpful to just count the breaths. So breathing in and breathing out. Just gently label it 1. Breathing in, breathing out 2. Just keep going with it. Up to 10. And when you get to 10, start again at 1. can create an altruistic motivation. So we're taking time now to meditate, to accumulate vast merit, and to be able to find a spiritual guide in order to reach that state of enlightenment, be of most benefit to all sentient beings. So contemplating on the reasons that we need a spiritual guide. Reflect on real life examples from your own life. So thinking about significant teachers that you've had in your life, kindness that they've shown you, the benefits you've gained from their good qualities. Generate a strong sense of appreciation and gratitude for that kindness. Think about the great importance of having a spiritual teacher to teach us what to practice, what to avoid, to lead us on the Dharma path, out of samsara and to full enlightenment. So this is territory that we've never been in before. We definitely need a guide along the way. Looking for someone with experience who's gone before, who knows more than what we do. So becoming strongly convinced of the importance of a spiritual teacher, someone highly qualified, an admirable spiritual teacher in your Dharma life. Contemplate the kind of teacher that you desire to find, specifically thinking about some of those 10 qualities of Mahayana spiritual guide. So a mind that's subdued, pacified by the higher trainings, morality, concentration, trainings of wisdom. What qualities and knowledge in the student? A wealth of scriptural knowledge and oral transmissions. Experience of an insight into the meaning of emptiness. Perseverance to keep teaching us the Dharma. Keep going with it, even when times are really tough. Think about the teacher understanding what level we're all at. Accepting us just at the level that we're at. It's all our mistakes, all of our qualities. Knowing what's the right teaching for us at the right time. And having that motivation to teach us our loving kindness, our compassion, that desire to bring all sentient beings to enlightenment. them to be able to follow the Dharma path. What's standing out for you tonight? What's in your mind about what qualities you're looking for in the spiritual guide? And think about your own qualities as a student. What are you going to bring to the relationship? What do you aspire to develop as a student? What qualities would you like to be stronger in? What do you think you already have? And generate in your heart and mind an enthusiastic aspiration to find a qualified spiritual guide. To opening your heart to scrutiny through check-in, and feeling the confidence and joy of finding such a precious spiritual friend to accompany to guide you on your spiritual path. And once you have that strong feeling, just let your mind just rest there for a moment. And dedication. Because of our merits, may I and all sentient beings find a perfectly qualified spiritual guide in all our future lives. May we be never separated from our spiritual guide, nor from the pure Dharma teachings. May all our precious teachers have long and healthy lives. May all their compassionate projects for sentient beings succeed perfectly without any obstacles. Okay, and then just when you're ready, just come back again to the present. All right, everybody. So, similar meditation to last week, and just some more points there around the what qualities we're looking for from ourselves and from a teacher. So I've put that meditation on the workbook. All right, so you'll have it there, and I'll do my best to find a way to get you a copy that you can listen to if you choose to do so, if that helps. So have a go at practicing at least once during the week if you can do. I know there's always lots and lots of stuff that's to do. All right. So I said that I'd let you know what things you need to do if you're wanting to take the class formally. So by formally, all I'm meaning with that is you can, if you want to do get a completion certificate or card to say that you've done this particular module. So that's all what I'm meaning by taking it formally. If you don't want to do that and you're happy just coming along every week and listening and thinking, then that's absolutely fine as well. All right, so don't feel that you have to do. But these are the things that you'll need to read or practice if you do. So there's some 4 teachings by Lama Zopa Rinpoche, which I believe you've all got now. I'll send them again on this next week. So there's those 4. There's some books stroke chapters. Now this first one, it comes in 2 different editions. The one I've got's blue, but basically it's part 3 of Liberating the Palm of Your Hand, which is split into, it's headed up 3 over a number of days, so days 7, 8 and 9. So those days don't relate to our days, they're just how the chapter headings are. All right. There's Relating to a Spiritual Teacher by Alexander Burz, and yet again I couldn't get that one when I looked for it, but I did find Wise Teacher, Wise Student by him, which seems to have all the points that you'd want to know about, really. All right, so if you can't get the first one, go for the second. And then there's several meditations that we're practicing. We're doing this first one last week and this week, meditation on the need for a teacher. And we'll do the next one of them next week. And then by the time we've done all of the sessions, then you should have done them all. The one thing that I was less sure on there really was particularly around one-day retreat. So I've asked Kerry about this, and Kerry says speak to Lynn, and I'm trying to get hold of Lynn to chat to her about it now. So Kerry's of the mind of either we might put a one-day retreat on specifically for this, or it might be that you have the card, and then once you've done a retreat yourself, that you tick it to say that you've done a retreat for a day. All right. I do know that for anybody who's interested in it, Ven Rabina's got some coming up, for example. But I will talk to Lynn about whether we have a specific one for the course. Then things to do this week, thanks. I don't want you to do all of that lot in a week. All right. So I'm trying to break it down so that you'll do the whole lot over the 6 weeks. So keep on with the practice of meditation then about the need for a spiritual guide, and notice what's coming up for you from that as you're doing it. So it's quite nice to make yourself a few little notes after you come out of your meditation about what things are going on in your mind as you're doing it. What I'd say as well with the meditation is don't feel like you have to do the whole lot. So like I've gone through all of it quite quickly with you tonight, but you know, you might want to just read part of it and then stay on that point. And the idea with an analytical meditation is you're looking at it from different points of view, you know. So if you're thinking about the spiritual guide, these 10 qualities, you might want to think about, well, do they have to have those 10 qualities, you know, and is that what I believe, and what evidence have I kind of got that says that they do or they don't, and so on. So you might want to chunk it and just focus on one particular area when you're meditating. And then once you come to a aha moment where you go, yeah, I believe that, and you get a strong, yeah, I believe that, that's the bit where you hold your attention on. All right, once you get to something where you feel that you're on solid ground, that, yeah, that's something that you know to be true for yourself. All right. So Lama Zopa's teachings then, read Seeing the Guru as a Buddha and the Kindness of a Guru. The first one is actually the 4th in the pamphlet, and really, really relevant. The Kindness of the Guru's got all sorts in it, and it's quite a few pages long. All right, but have a read through it and take part from it the parts that you need for the moment. And then then if you can do as well, Alexander Burz in my book, there were chapters 4 and 5. So it's around the different types of spiritual teacher and the need for various levels of spiritual teacher. And quite a few of those we've covered in the class tonight. All right, so they'll look familiar when you do them. It's just sort of reinforcing it. I've said if you want me to send out the handouts, I'll send them out to everybody I've got the email addresses for. And let me think. Yeah, and I've picked up the email address from chat, so thank you very much for that. And that's it really. And if you've got any questions, then do let me know. So is everybody okay so far? Yeah, we'll see some nodding faces. I haven't got anybody saying no. All right, let's do some dedications then, and then we need to kick ourselves out because I think we're nearly on 8 o'clock, aren't we? So let's say the closing prayers, and if you want to do, if this is something that's part of your practice. So due to this merit, may I quickly attain the enlightened state of a Guru Buddha, that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious body mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born of no decline but increase forevermore. Then the long life prayers. So for His Holiness, in the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the supreme source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And a short long life prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. You who uphold the studious moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers, honouring the three jewels, Saviour of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Okay, everybody, so thank you very much for everything today. So if any of you wants to say anything, just unmute and say away. Otherwise, I shall see you next week.
Oh, thank you, Chrissy. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, Chrissy. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye.
All right.
Bye. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Hazel.
Hi. Sorry, I'm just trying to get out of my there we go.